Okay, yeah, of course. Let's go ahead and begin. So let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Stephanie Andres. I'm going to be the moderator today for the session, Engaging with Your STEM Major. A little bit just about me is that I am a general studies major here at Prince George's Community College. I am a second year college student at the moment. And let's just go over a couple housekeeping notes right before we begin and I present our presenter for today. So just a few notes to our audience, everybody here. So the microphones of the audience will be muted throughout the presentation. We will keep the questions until the end unless the presenter specifies otherwise. If you need assistance or want to ask a question, you can use the virtual raise hand function or just type in the chat. All participants are asked to fill out a survey on the current session. I will post the link in the chat 30 minutes after the beginning of our session. The link will open on the day of the event and not before. I also encourage you all to keep your camera on but microphone off unless you are speaking to the presenter or audience. So let me go ahead and present our guest today. Our guest today is Dr. Cassandra Moore Crawford. A round of applause, everybody. Okay, so Dr. Moore Crawford, a professor at Prince George's Community College, has more than 20 years of experience teaching and developing biology curriculum. Of particular note is her work as a certified master reviewer of online science courses for Quality Matters, a U.S. Department fund for the improvement of post-secondary education FIPSE project. Additionally, Dr. Moore Crawford has published hands-on biology laboratories for distance learning with her co-authors, Professor Emeritus Dr. Mimi Brace and Professor Emeritus Arnie Weisher, which consists of laboratory exercises for use in online introduction biology courses. In addition to her work in distance learning, Dr. Moore Crawford has worked extensively with students from diverse social and ethnic backgrounds. Outside of her activities, Dr. Moore Crawford has been an active participant in training and mentoring new adjunct faculty within her institution. As an intern at the National Academies of Science, Dr. Moore Crawford worked on several reports and publications that pertain to science, education, and policy. These experiences have sparked Dr. Moore Crawford's interest in developing cooperative learning techniques for the distance learning environment. For the past several years, Dr. Moore Crawford has served as one of the PGCC institutional representatives for the UMBC Build a Bridge to STEM summer internship program and is currently the program director for a DSEC HBCU/MI Pathways grant. So let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Moore Crawford, everyone.
Hi, everyone. And it's funny because on top of that, actually what I really do is teach biology. And I've been teaching biology for a number of years. So today's presentation is about engaging with your STEM major. You've chosen to do STEM and you're interested in STEM, but you may or may not understand how to go from being a STEM major to actually having a career in STEM. And part of that is with engaging with your major. So what does that mean? All right. So the importance of engagement. Good grades are not enough. You can have a 4.0 and still have difficulty finding a job. You can have that pristine GPA, but if you're not a well-rounded individual in terms of having those other skills that employers are looking for, you're going to have a hard time finding a job and being in a career that you love. You are here as a STEM major because you have some interest in either science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, or possibly something that overlaps in those different things. So good grades are not enough. You need to be able to do things outside of just being a good academic student. Future employers want that academic knowledge, so that stuff that you're actually learning in the classroom. But in addition, they want you to have technical skills that you may or may not learn in the classroom. They want you to have what is now called power skills. These used to be what they called soft skills, things transition. So now soft skills are now called power skills. So things like emotional intelligence, which is actually something that has crept up more that we've been in this pandemic in terms of being able to read other people's emotions as well as be able to control your own emotions. Communication skills, adaptability, because if nothing else the pandemic has taught us it is to be adaptable. They're looking for creativity, the ability to collaborate with others. They want to see leadership, and they want to see that you have good time management. Some of this you do learn in a classroom. Some of it you learn outside the classroom. And to learn it outside the classroom means that you're engaging in other things that are STEM related to get you to that point from STEM major to STEM career. Oops, one too far. Okay, so the types of engagement that I'm going to go through today in order are advising, clubs and organization, outreach and volunteering, internships and co-ops, and I'm also going to talk about a little bit of research there, mentorships, and networking. All of these are various types of engagement you can have outside the classroom that will enhance your STEM major and help you learn more about your STEM major and help you decide where you want to go with your STEM major. All right, so advising. Basically, what I tell students, you need advising because you need to figure out, how do I get there from here? You're here in college now. How do you get to that particular, your endpoint, whether it is to a transfer institution, whether it is to a career, a job? How do you get here how do you get there from here? You need some type of roadmap. And to do that, you need people along the way to help you. The first that you'll probably very much know are your academic advisors. Academic advisors will be very good in helping you lay that pathway in terms of those courses you need to take to reach your goal, and help you get there in a timely manner so that you're not spending excessive time taking courses that are not relevant to your major or that don't serve a purpose for you. They are there as a foundation. In addition, you can also have professors that serve as advisors, either informal or formal advisors. And the beauty of having a professor as an advisor is they may have industry knowledge to help you get along somewhere else in terms of what are the current trends in your particular major, or places to look for employment or internships or things like that in your particular major. And then finally, what I like to say, peer advisors, your peers who are around you, who are in that major, who may be 1 or 2 semesters ahead of you, can give you advice on things of which courses to take, what order to take those courses in, which professors to take, how best to study for particular courses, in terms of how to best fill out, applications, or be able to point you to other professors that can guide you in the help that you kind of need there in terms of advising. So advising can be a formal type of advising where you go in and you meet with your academic advisor on a regular basis, or it can be informal when you're just dropping in either to a professor or you're meeting with your peers or things like that. But it is definitely something that is crucial to help you engage with your major. So you know where you are here. In order to get there, you need a roadmap, and advising is going to provide that roadmap to help you get there. All right, another great place to engage with your major are clubs and organizations. And the beauty of this is that there's no pressure here. You can engage as little or as much as you want to with these different clubs and organizations. They give you another way to experience your major outside the classroom. The first type of organization are professional organizations. Basically, for any major industry, anything else, there's a professional organization. And typically there is a student portion of that professional organization. For example, National Society of Black Engineers, chemical society organizations, biology teachers associations, there's a National Science of Teacher associations. So all of these are professional organizations where you can meet people who are already in the profession that you're interested in joining, and you can get to talk to them and maybe find some informal advisors, like we just talked about in the previous slide, And then also sometimes if you're involved in these professional organizations, like I said, they do have student chapters, you may be able to present at some of these organizations depending on what you're involved with, especially if you're doing research or internship, which we'll talk about later in terms of that. Another great organization, especially that we have on this campus and many campuses have, are learning communities. So a learning community is a bunch of students that either have the same major or a similar major, and they're coming together either in the classroom formally learning but also outside the classroom. For example, at PGCC, we have the STEM Collegiate Center, but there are also collegiate centers for other majors as well. The STEM Collegiate Center is a great place to meet other STEM majors, to get information about STEM opportunities, and just other ways to help you understand what STEM is and what you can do with a STEM degree. And then you're there with peers, other people who are going through it at the same time you are. So you can lean on each other, in terms of in hard times, provide social support, emotional support, those kind of things as well. So learning communities are great in terms of that, either while you're here at PGC or when you go on to a transfer institution, seeking out those learning communities to help you stay connected. Another club and organization are student clubs. There's a chemistry club, there's a biology club, I think there's like a robotics or thing club at the college as well. So these student clubs, which typically have a faculty advisor, get together a certain time, and they're really focused on one thing. There's a hackers club I've read on the PGCC website. So in terms of that, you can find something by interest in other students that have the same interest. And when you're with students that have the same interest, again, you're getting to know other people, you're sharing your interest, and you're engaging in your major in a way that's outside the classroom to help you develop other types of skills. And finally, another type of organization, and this is not at all an exhaustive list, but honor societies. There are various honor societies, again, for those students that are high achieving, where you get to meet other people in your major, and with a club advisor that you get to go out, meet people, engage in different activities that help solidify, hey, is this what I really want to do in STEM? Or maybe I want to do something different. Or maybe they have events that actually open your eyes to something else that is possibly available in that particular major, which is fantastic as well, because then you're constantly learning new things and figuring out what you want to do. Because even though people say, what do you want to do as an adult when you grow up, even though you're 18, it took me much longer to figure out what I wanted to do. All right. So another aspect, outreach and volunteering. So going from that STEM major to STEM career, we talked about that you need all of these different things beside just the academic knowledge, getting that technical knowledge, getting those power skills and things like that. So if you're doing things with outreach or you're volunteering, for example, if you're really into robotics, plenty of schools in the area have robotics club. If you can volunteer with their you're able to transfer the knowledge that you've gained so far, and you're helping out those that are coming behind you. The same thing with outreach, where they have centers like that for either robotics, for engineering, helping out at an esports event, all of these different things, at a science fair, serving as a judge, as a runner, science bowl, all these different things help you practice your academic knowledge, things that you've learned in the classroom, to apply it, help you with those technical skills if you're helping students with their coding and their programming of their robots, and then also help you with those power skills that we talked about. So all of these things that we've talked about and that I will continue to talk about are things that will make you a more well-rounded individual and a highly sought after candidate for a particular job. Oops. Okay. All right. And then this slide, which I'll probably spend a little bit of time on. Another way to connect with your major are through experiential learning. And experiential learning is basically learning that you're doing outside the classroom. And the ones that we know best are internships, right? But they're also in that same umbrella of internships. We have internships, co-ops, and research. So some of the differences. An internship is a typically paid position for a short period of time with a company. Usually an internship is just one rotation. All right. Internships traditionally had been, just a summer internship. Now internships are year round. You can get internships for a fall semester, for a spring semester, or for a summer if you choose to. There are many agencies in our area that offer internships, such as NASA, which many of our students apply to and work at NASA in terms of internships. A co-op is similar to an internship in that it's a short period of work, but typically it is something that either you are working with your institution because you get credit for, or if it's also paid, it's also something that you're doing multiple rotations at the same company or multiple companies. Most co-op rotations, you're doing about 3 rotations at a particular company. Sometimes it's 5, depending on, again, the institution and what you're doing there. Again, typically paid. You're doing real work during that time. You're not taking classes during that time. So you're getting real skills, real ideas of what it would be like to be in that particular job. And then you learn a lot. Sometimes you learn, hey, this is what you want to do. And sometimes you learn, this is not what I want to do at all, which was my experience when I was an intern going, yeah, no, this is not what I want to do. I need to go back to the drawing board, but that's perfectly all right. And then finally, another type of experiential learning is research. And most students think about research in terms of, that's something that professors do or something that graduate students do. There are many opportunities for undergraduate research. And the beauty of that is, again, you're learning outside the classroom, learning new skills that are going to be applicable to a future job. In terms of that undergraduate research, a lot of times the ways to get into it are seeing what your professors are doing, especially if they do research. And then sometimes some internships, even though they're labeled internships, as part of that internship, you will also be doing research as well. So that's one of the beauty of this kind of experiential learning. As you can see, some of the benefits that are there, you get to explore career directions. As I say, I had a wonderful time as an intern at the National Academies of Science. I met wonderful friends that I have to this day, but it taught me I was not one for policy. I did not enjoy policy, so I had to go back to the drawing board, and that's when I found my love of teaching, which worked out for me. It helps you develop both those technical and power skills, and you get to practice them, which is always, the first time you do something, you don't necessarily do it well, but the more you practice, the better you get at it. So doing experiential learning, either internships, co-ops, research, help you with those skills. This experiential learning will test your determination and perseverance. Do you really want to do research? It's not just and in STEM, a lot of people think of research of just being in the laboratory with test tubes and things like that. That is so not the case, because like for biologists, a lot of times you have field research where you are out in the field studying different things, which is a completely different animal than being in the laboratory. So do you really like being out there in the middle of the summer when it's 95 degrees and super humid? It'll test that perseverance and everything else. It'll help you figure out what you want to do with your major without too many downsides to it, right? It'll help build your confidence. Once you complete an internship, co-op, research, you're like, wow, I did that. I didn't necessarily know I could do that. And I've learned so many skills along the way that then that confidence builds into the next opportunity you take. And it helps you gain experience, right? In order to learn more about internships, co-ops, and research, we have a wonderful career development office on campus, which I strongly suggest you utilize. All students are allowed to use it and figure things out there in terms of being able to get these experiential learning opportunities to help bolster your resume. Because basically everything we're talking about today are resume building. So again, you're not just going in there with, I've got a great transcript. You have something else to back that up, that you're not just a one-dimensional student. All right. Another type of engagement is mentorships, right? And there could be different types of mentorships. You can have formal or informal. A formal mentorship program is when there's actually a contract between you and the actual mentor. You meet specific times for specific length of time, and they're giving you guidance, right? And it's typically more than just academic guidance. It might be guidance about careers. It could be guidance in terms of what internships or anything other engagement to take. It could be about research. You can also have an informal mentorship where you meet with someone. It might be on a regular basis, might be not on a regular basis, and it might be something that's, face-to-face. It might be something that's virtual, things like that. You can also have short-term versus long-term. In terms of that particular engagement, you might have a mentorship with someone that just lasts a semester because that's the only time you really have contact with them. Or you might have a mentorship with someone the entire time you are at an institution and beyond, once you leave that institution, in terms of that mentorship. And like I said, they're providing more than just academic guidance. They're kind of giving you life guidance all around in terms of that. So potential mentors, your professors often serve as mentors, because even though you may only have them for a semester, they can provide you insight into your particular major as you go along, because they've seen many students come and go over the years. They've also done other things beside teaching, so they have that knowledge to share with you. Supervisors, either a supervisor from a co-op, from an internship, or whatever job you have, can also serve as a mentor, because they've had more life history and they know what comes along in life and can help you with that. Community members. So members of your community, for example, if you're doing outreach, like we were talking about before, or volunteering, those advisors there are community members that can help you. A club or organization advisor can also be a mentor. And then again, coming back to your peers, peer mentors are really great, because there's someone that's close to your age. They've been in the same classes, same situations that you've been in, and can really help open your eyes to what's available out there in terms of that. And that's a really great thing to have. You're just like, sometimes students feel that even though they're in these classes with other people who are STEM majors, a lot of times they feel that they're on their own and they're doing it on their own. You're not. We're all here to support you, because our goal is to see you persist in your STEM major and also go on into a STEM career that you will enjoy for a lifetime. All right. So we are all here to support you in that. And then networking is one of those things. And basically everything that I talked about before all kind of leads up to networking, and their types of networking. So what networking is establishing connections with people in your field. All right. So if you're doing an internship, you're doing that. If you're doing outreach, you're doing that. When you get advising, you're doing that sometimes. When you're getting mentorship, you're getting that. So you're establishing those connections with people. And you're developing relationships with those who can help you progress on your pathway, whatever pathway that may be. Whether you are planning on transferring to a 4-year institution, they can help develop that. For example, your advisor here may know an advisor at your next institution, so that you're not in complete transfer shock when you get to the next institution. You know someone that's there, because now they're helping you on that particular pathway. If you know students that have transferred to another institution, that's a good way to connect with them. You can kind of bend their ear. What's it really like to be a major at that institution? What are the professors like? What opportunities are there? What's the career development center like? So those kind of things are there. And then Building a strong network could lead to future opportunities. Just talking to other students, talking to professors may give you a lead on an internship or a co-op or a research opportunity or a part-time job doing something else. And those are the beauty of those things with networking. And it's a skill that we all need to have, but we don't necessarily all develop it pretty well. And since we know it's important, like we all have our social networks, but professional networks are just as important. And they don't necessarily have to be like formalized professional networks. You know someone, you're working part-time with them and they're interested in STEM. You can ask them about what they're doing and who they work for and where they're looking to apply and where they're transferring to and those things. Networking is about building and establishing connections, those strong connections. And that's the key thing there. And that's what everything that I've talked about, the advising, the clubs and organizations, experiential learning, mentorship, all of this is building into this networking so that you are not just a transcript of good grades, which is helpful, but it won't just help you there, but you're three-dimensional. You can work independently, and this is what future employers are really looking for. All right, so I have a lovely question. Any questions about anything I've talked about thus far?
Oh, it looks like Kevin has a question.
Okay.
Oh, hi, everyone. My name is Kevin Toteme, pursuing his lifelong dreams of science here at college. I will be graduating hopefully by fall 2022.
Okay.
So I have a quick question. You said there is clubs I can join, including chemistry, which is my major. Can you provide a little information on that, please?
What I would do is, particularly for the chemistry, I would contact the science office to see who the faculty advisor is for the chemistry club. The office for the science office, if you want their phone number, because I do know that off the top of my head.
Yeah, you can provide it to me. Yeah.
So the main office for the science office is 301 546 0420.
Zero. Repeat the last four digits.
0420.
Okay, thank you.
So they should be able to tell you who the actual advisor is for the chemistry club.
Okay.
And again, those clubs and organizations, you get to meet with other students. Sometimes you're able to form study groups, especially if it's something like chemistry club, work on those chemistry problems together. And, you're socializing, but you're also getting in that academic interest as well.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Princess and my major is computer science here at PGCC. I'm really big on networking and meeting people in my field. Do you think that clubs are the best way that we would be able to reach out and find people in our major and within our STEM field? Or is there like a different way we can go about doing that?
I think, well, all of the things that I mentioned, you should use some of them. You don't necessarily have to use all of them to do that, but clubs are a good way because the clubs typically have a club advisor who's going to be a professor who, when you have questions about other things in terms of either job opportunities or particularly with like computer science in terms of certifications you might seek, might be able to answer those kind of questions. A club as well in terms of interacting with those club members, in terms of that peer advising and peer mentoring. Well, who's taken this certification? How have you studied for that exam? those different types of things are helpful as well to help you get to where you want to go. Because that's the whole point. You're a major now, but you actually want to be in that career.
Yes.
So helping you figure that out, and everyone takes a different pathway to get to their career. Some people do it straight shot. Some people take a meandering kind of path. So it all depends on what you want to do. But yes, clubs and organizations are a great way. And at PGCC, there is a Women in Cybersecurity Club. So that might be one way that you might be interested in that.
So interested in that club. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a question.
Yes.
What are some student networking sites that you'd recommend to start making connections?
Actually, I wouldn't say like specifically student networking sites. The big one right now is LinkedIn, and that's both for students and professionals. I have 2 college-age students, and they're both using LinkedIn and are encouraged by their institutions and their career development centers to use LinkedIn. Sometimes some institutions have their own kind of networking site as well. So depending on where you're going, they may have a particular site. For example, I'm an alumni of University of Maryland, and the particular college that I graduated from has their own networking site for alumni to help students who are now currently in that major. So in general, LinkedIn is one, but depending on the institution you're going to and what your major is, they may have their own networking site.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. We also have a question here in the chat. Somebody asked, what do research boards look for in their applicants? What is a way I can present myself as an outstanding candidate?
Okay, the best way to present yourself as a good candidate is to be honest. If you're looking at the research, if you're looking at research in terms of what they're doing, what are they looking for that particular research position? How well do you align with that? And then highlight all the areas where you do align. All right. You're not necessarily going to align with all of them, because sometimes they're not necessarily looking to bring someone in that knows everything. They're willing to teach you that. And you need to be able to, articulate that as well in your resume, that you are willing to learn, that you don't necessarily know everything, but you are willing to learn.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. That's excellent advice. I think Princess also has another question. If she'd like to go ahead.
Oh, was my hand still up? I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay, that's okay.
No problem. Any other questions? I think Kevin has.
Kevin, you have another one?
Yes, ma'am. Gosh, because I haven't done this before.
It's okay.
Since I am pursuing my lifelong dreams of chemistry, I've always had an interest in science since about 10, 11, 12 years old, especially with Bill Nye the Science Guy and everything. So what is the research like? And if I join the chemistry club, will there be chemists who attended graduate school who know the research subfield?
So the advisor of the chemistry club is going to be a chemistry professor at PGCC. And yes, they have all would have gone to graduate school and be able to actually give you some of that insight into, applying for graduate school, what to look for in a graduate program in that particular area. I wouldn't be able to tell you much about graduate school in chemistry because I was an animal science major.
Okay.
But
that's okay.
You want to know anything about animal science? I can tell you that. But
that's okay. That's okay.
Not necessarily chemistry, but they can offer that insight. Just like professors are really good at providing you information outside of the academic knowledge, because they either have industry knowledge because they worked in industry before teaching, or because they also have the experience of doing research either at this institution or before coming to the institution, or in graduate school. So that's the beauty of that too. In terms of the beauty of clubs and organizations, you get to socialize kind of with your major. So it's like the social aspect of your major, but also you get mentoring and you get advising tied in there as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so
Mhm.
much.
Hi, Lauren.
Hi, you said that you were an animal science major, and
Yes.
I'm a biology major right now, but I want to once I transfer to a different school, I want to go into like animal studies or because I want to be a veterinarian.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know like how was it for you?
So, okay. I also went to college thinking I was going to be a veterinarian. Talk about meandering pathways.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to be a veterinarian, and in all honesty, it is hard to become a veterinarian because there are only 27 veterinary schools in the country. So it is more competitive to get into medical school. But the beauty for me, because I was an animal science major and I just loved animals and everything else, I decided about halfway, probably about my junior year, that I wanted to continue with animal science, but that I was going to go to graduate school because I had two wonderful mentors I had met along the way while I was in college, and they were studying animal behavior. And that just brought so much interest to me. And I was able to do that. Studied what I loved as an undergraduate. And then they took me into graduate school, and I was their teaching assistant while I was working on a master's degree. And then about 1 year into doing a PhD. And then I decided there were other competing priorities in my life. So I did school part-time and actually started teaching, because this was after I had the internship at National Academies of Science and realized I don't like policy, but I really like teaching. And at that point, I kind of stepped away from traditionally being an animal scientist in animal studies and actually using the knowledge I had gained in animal science. And my first actual teaching position, I taught high school, and I was the science teacher. I taught biology, chemistry, physics, and I also taught algebra, but those were all skills I had learned as an animal science major because we had to do all of that together. So in terms of that's the unique meandering pathway I took to get to where I am now. But I loved being an animal science major. I loved being with the animals. All that, we had sheep on campus. Occasionally we had cows on campus and all of that. So I just really liked it because that was my particular personality.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. I'll take that into consideration.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we also have a comment in the chat. What made you decide to research cows and maternal investment? And what were the biggest lessons you learned from your faculty mentors?
Okay. Who went looking up to see what my dissertation topic was? That's crazy. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, my dissertation topic was I studied the maternal factors that affected the sex ratio in cattle. And that sounds a little ridiculous. Like, isn't it 50-50? No, not really. Depending on different traits of the mother, you can predict a little bit whether they will have males or females. And that's because male cattle are more energetically expensive. They stay in the womb longer, they wean longer, later. So those kind of things. So because I had an interest in cattle, and my advisor also had an interest in cattle, and basically it came out of the two advisors that I had a extreme interest in animal welfare and using animal behavior to be able to increase the animal welfare of domestic animals in captivity. So looking at that is where I got that. My advisors, I think I probably learned more outside the classroom from my college advisors than I did inside the classroom. Even as an undergraduate, my academic advisor would always offer, well, you may want to do this instead of that. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about working with X, Y, and Z kind of thing? And it wasn't necessarily what the academic advisors would tell you to do. A good academic advisor asks you questions to make you think about what would be good for you. So that's what I really enjoyed about the academic advisors and the graduate advisors that I had, in my time at the University of Maryland. But yes, in terms of that behavior thing, I still, love my animal behavior. And, my husband says I'm the worst person to take to the zoo because I'll point out all the behavior of the different animals going on there.
And the other part of the question was, what were the biggest lessons you learned from your faculty mentor? Oh, no, wait, did you mention that?
Well, some of the biggest lessons that I learned, one, like it was my faculty advisor who encouraged me to take the internship at National Academies of Science. So I will always, but he was also the first one that got me into teaching because I was his TA. So in terms of that, being able to figure out what I wanted to do. And he was supportive of me when I walked away from the TA-ship to actually teach full-time and then went to school part-time to continue my PhD. So he was supportive of that. And then what I also learned, like I said, a lot of those were lessons outside of the classroom in terms of what's important in life. How do you take these different things? And even before it was the actual term, in terms of that work-life balance, trying to figure things out. And for me, he knew it was difficult for me because he was a man and he knew that it was difficult for women in STEM. So he always tried to provide those other kind of opportunities for me to meet other women in STEM to be encouraging.
Okay, yeah, wow, great. That's really gives us like a lot of intel, insight, and everything. Does anybody else have any more questions they'd like to ask?
Yes. Hi, my name's Marvel. So basically, I'm wondering, would you consider internships an educational requirement?
What I would say now is that you need to have some type of work experience related to your major by the time you graduate. So the short answer is yes, an internship is very relevant to that because again, having a transcript, great grades isn't necessarily going to help you much. And in fact, I've talked to, different, people at various career development centers, and they will tell you, yeah, I have a student graduating in May with a 4.0, but he's having trouble getting a job because he didn't do any internships. He didn't do anything outside of his major to show that he's just not book smart. You know what I mean? And that's what employers are looking for. They're looking for someone that they don't necessarily have to, they're willing to teach you some skills that are related to that specific job, but they don't want to have to teach you how to interact with other people, how to get to work on time and all those other things. And that's the things that things like outreach, volunteering, internship will teach you how to do. So as long as you have some other learning experience that you can document on your resume, and it doesn't necessarily have to be paid, or a formal internship, that they're related to your major is very helpful in terms of you trying to be successful in gaining that first job that leads to your career in STEM.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, one more question, if you don't mind.
Yes.
Do you think knowledgeability is more, important than experience when it comes to internships?
So you mean in terms of what you've actually learned in the classroom in terms of an internship versus?
Correct.
Most of the people that I know that have gotten internships, it's not based on what they've known in the classroom. It's that they were willing to learn on the job at the internship. All right. That they put in their application, they were able to say, hey, this is the knowledge I have thus far. And typically with the internships, they will say what they're looking for. Either they're looking for, some of them are looking for, third and fourth year students. Some are looking for second and third year students. Some will actually take freshmen. There are even internships for high school students. So there's a whole wide range of internships. So what they're really looking for is someone that they can see academically has the ability to learn, and that someone that is willing to learn and learn those new traits.
Okay, because I'm sure you mentioned earlier that it's advisable to mention that you're willing to learn and adapt.
Right.
Correct. Okay. Um, sorry, I know I have a lot of questions, but
That's okay. That's what this session is about. That's why I knew I wasn't going to talk that much to leave room for questions.
okay, okay. So what time would you suggest is best for applying for internships or engaging in internships, mid-study or post-graduation?
I would say, well, you want to do it before graduation, but I would say pretty much anytime after your first year. Like first years typically have a hard time getting internships because those that are offering the internships typically want students with a little bit more experience or maturity there. So they don't necessarily, they're not necessarily hiring those that have just completed their first year of college. But there is no wrong time to apply for an internship. When I did the internship session last year, when it was just like, when is internship season? It's all year long, because at this point, many companies are offering internships year round, and some are still offering virtual internships or hybrid versions where you go in a couple of days a week and then the others you're working from home. I will use my older son as an example. He is a fourth year electrical engineering major. Last summer, he had an internship at a company in Arlington. And with it being in the middle of the pandemic, they did a hybrid kind of internship. So he was in the office 2 to 3 days a week, and the others he was working from home. They liked what he did, and they offered him a remote kind of, internship when he went back to school. And he was just like,
Oh, wow.
thanks, but I don't have the ability to do that in school while I'm taking my coursework, but thank you. And he's kept in contact with them, and he has an offer from them again this summer. And because they know he's close to graduation, they've also sent him postings for full-time positions within their company.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay, I'm lucky him, I guess. Oh,
You're lucky me. He means he won't be
lucky
coming home
you,
to live
exactly.
with me.
So one more question regarding international students, right, with visas like the F1. Do you necessarily require a work authorization?
It depends on the company, and you would have to specifically have that conversation with the company. I know with some of the government internships, say with NASA, that wouldn't necessarily, again, you would have to read that fine print in there. But
Okay.
like, for example, the company that my son happened to work for happens to be an international company, and their US headquarters was in Arlington. So, and then another company that he's interested in applying to is another international company that happens to have offices in the US. So depending on what you're doing and things like that, depends on how they're able to hire.
Okay, thank you. That would be all. Thank you so much.
I believe Kevin has one last question.
Okay.
Oh, yes, one last question. Like I said, I have a few role models that inspired me and interest me to get into science when I was little. Like I said, Bill Nye the Science Guy and everything. Like I said, I used to watch him throughout elementary and middle school and everything. So who was your role model that interested you into science?
Oh, that's kind of funny. Actually, my mom was my role model. My mom was a public health nurse in New York City, going there, and she was very, very much a role model. When I was like in elementary school, she went back to school to get a master's degree. She holds 2 master's degrees, so she very much showed me that what a good work ethic was, and that, with hard work and determination, you can do something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in the traditional pathway. Now, granted, she was an overachiever because she graduated from high school in like 3 years, and she went to Syracuse University kind of thing. But
Wow.
She also followed that untraditional path in terms of actually after having her family, that she then decided to go back to earn master's degree. So she has a master's degree in public health nursing, as well as a master's degree in epidemiology, because she also worked in epidemiology for New York City Health Department.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
Thank
she
you.
was both role model and that science role model in terms of
Oh, okay.
that interest
Okay.
in science came from her.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great.
I do want to acknowledge one last question. I'm sorry, Mila. I missed your question earlier. I'm so sorry. She said, as a student, did you ever attend any professional conferences, and how did it aid your understanding in the field?
Yes, I did attend conferences. And then actually, I think maybe 1 or 2 as an undergraduate. And at that point, as an undergraduate, because they were being held at the University of Maryland campus, that I was enlisted by my advisors, kind of like the helper, kind of thing, the runner to do different things, either to introduce speakers and things like that. But it also gave me an idea of, oh, wow, there's a much bigger world out here in terms of what different people are studying in terms of research. As a graduate student, then yes, I did attend conferences and then present, which, was always nerve-wracking for me to present because I was always so nervous, even if they were just poster sessions and that's just people wandering around and then reading your poster and asking you questions about it. But those experiences helped build my confidence that, yes, I am here, I can talk about these things. And you kind of get out of your own head and thinking, okay, or that kind of imposter syndrome that I don't belong here, that you realize the more you do things that, no, I am the expert on this. There may be one little small topic, but I am the expert for that right now. So in terms of that, attending those conferences was good, both, starting out and just seeing what was out there and then participating in them as I got further along in my education.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that experience. That was really enlightening, very, very motivating. Okay, so I just want to thank our presenter today for their time and engaging with the audience today. Thank you everyone for participating, for your questions. I wanted to ask Professor Thakur if she could add the survey link in the chat so everybody could be able to fill it out. That would be really helpful, everyone, if you could take a few moments to do that.
Please, can you send me in the chat?
Sorry, your mic is going in and out. If you want to go ahead and try to put it in the chat, you can read it from there.
You have the survey link, Stephanie. I am going to look for it and put it. And thank you so much, Dr. Moore Crawford. It was a phenomenal session.
Thank you.
And Stephanie, you did a great job too. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
And all the audience, you came here. So you are already one step ahead in the list of things that our presenter was telling us about. You are making an effort to become well-rounded instead of just doing the 4.0 GPA plan. And thank you for your questions. I'm going to look for the link and post it, but Stephanie, you have the link in that document. Could you copy paste it?
Oh yes, yeah. I actually have it right here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Oh wait, I sent something to somebody on accident, a direct message. I'm sorry. I sent something to somebody. Sorry about that. Okay, I think I've got it. Okay, I believe I've got it. If somebody can let me know if they're able to get into the survey, that'd be great.
Yes, I am able to get in this.
Yes, the link is working.
All right, great, thank you. I believe somebody asked me if I'm in the computer science field. No, I'm not in the computer science field. So my major is general studies, but it's concentrated in areas of science, engineering, and mathematics. So when I transfer, I plan to study engineering. But yeah, somebody asked me that, so just wanted to let you know. Okay, so the link is in there. I believe if that is it, Professor Thakur, if you would like to say anything, if our guests would like to add anything else.
No, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming, for engaging in your major by showing up, as Professor Thakur said, and for asking such wonderful questions to try and get a deeper knowledge of how you can be the best in your STEM major. One of my passions is supporting STEM students so that they persist in their major and can eventually go on to go into a STEM career, because those of us that are here, we're retiring and we need people to replace us.
Okay. Thank you so much. And everyone have a wonderful day. Continue to attend as many sessions as you can. And now that you have seen how very useful this session was and that we learned a lot, please encourage your friends to attend other sessions too. Okay, and share your knowledge from these sessions with others. So thank you. And maybe, do you want to close the session, Stephanie, or do you want my help to do that?
If you could do it for me or help me with it, that would be great. And
Okay,
I just
thank
wanted
you
to
so
add,
much.
yeah, I just wanted to add, I hope Dr. Crawford was able to inspire some of you. She has inspired me today and motivated everybody a little bit more, and whether they're pursuing a STEM major or not, but I hope she's helped everybody out at least a little bit today.